Hello, my love. Welcome to another episode of Blisstopia podcast. I am your host, Mercedes Castellani, and I am so excited to be having this conversation today with Dr. Suli. I am super excited because I think this topic is absolutely needed for the world. We're going to be covering all things masculinity, masculine energy. So both men and women, sit, buckle up, because this is going to be amazing. Our guest today is Dr. Suli. Dr. Lee helps men become the best version of themselves so that they thrive in life, love, and work with confidence and without burnouts. So, welcome, Sue, to Blisstopia podcast.
Thank you, Mercedes. Thank you very much for inviting me to come on.
Amazing. So we've been exchanging a couple of messages, and we were saying that the work that you do is so important. Women are doing so much work nowadays in terms of like self-development and growth and spirituality. And when you go to a yoga class, you see many, many women in there, not so many men in there, but men are really starting to do a lot of work on themselves as well. So let's start by the very beginning. How would you define healthy masculine energy? What's masculine energy for you?
So healthy masculine energy, I would define it as a person who's very grounded, very confident and self-assured, and they have direction and purpose. So they're not distracted by all the bright, shiny things around them or, easily influenced by doing this or that. They know themselves well. They trust their own intuition and they lead with intention and direction. They have self-leadership, and that inspires other people to follow them as well. So they have like a natural leadership to lead others and to follow them. They're also, because they're so self-assured and confident within themselves as well, they have no fear about communicating themselves, their desires, their purpose, their direction in life, and any sort of conflict they're happy to resolve as well, because they know themselves well and they're aligned with their values. So they're confident about taking space to integrate within themselves as well. They're not influenced by outside factors. And essentially what it boils down to is that healthy masculine energy feels safe, and it inspires loyalty, inspires others to grow as well alongside them.
That's so beautiful. Just hearing those words, I'm like, yes, 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 yes. That's all we want, right?
It's
As
all we
women,
want.
that's basically all we want. Amazing. And it's very interesting what you say. They know themselves very well.
Yeah.
And therefore they lead themselves, they know themselves, and therefore they can lead others. And they know themselves, and therefore they can communicate. So it seems like there's a lot of self-development, knowledge of yourself that you need to do in order to embody this healthy masculine energy.
Yeah, I always say, like, if they can't lead themselves, if they don't know where they're going, how are they going to lead others? Yeah.
So on the contrast of this, how would you define a wounded masculine energy or maybe a weak masculine energy? How can a man spot if, okay, maybe there's still a bit of work to be done in order to fully embody this healthy masculine energy?
Well, I think there's two poles to a wounded masculine energy. So there's the one who takes their negative feelings or their feeling of directionless, and then they overcompensate by being very aggressive, dominant, powerful. So they grab power in terms of power over people rather than power with people, inspiring leadership with people. So there's the aggressive, dominant leaders who are like tyrants. And then the other side of the wounded masculine energy are those who feel completely lost. They're very passive, indecisive. They don't trust themselves. They can be people-pleasing. They don't hold boundaries very well because they don't know how to assert themselves, because they don't have that confidence in themselves, or they have that wounded masculine energy. So they feel like they have no purpose. They're just drifting through life, a bit directionless and just untethered. They're not tethered to their core values, to their purpose, to a vision for themselves. So they don't build upon that. So those are like two poles of wounded masculine energy.
Yeah, one that has maybe a little bit too much power, exerting too much power, and the other one who hasn't really recognized his power yet. They
Exactly.
haven't tapped into that power yet. So it's like still a bit flowy, basically,
Mm,
which is a feminine principle, right?
yes.
The feminine principle is supposed to flow, and the masculine principle is supposed to have direction and vision and decide.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's very, very interesting. So if a man is in one of these poles, how would you recommend them to start integrating, into a more healthy masculine energy? Whether maybe he's on this more like powerful side,
Mm.
way too powerful, or not powerful enough, let's say, how would you advise a man to start coming into a more healthy masculine energy?
I think the first step is recognizing that that there's something quite amiss. I think within themselves, they will feel if a man is feeling wounded in the aspect of too passive, indecisive, directionless, and drifting, they will feel not quite right in themselves. I think that will already clash that something's not quite right within themselves. It doesn't feel natural because a man will naturally want to step into authority, like some sort of power to have control over his life.
Mm,
So if one recognizes that, I think it's about working on themselves so much, like give it with self-compassion, no judgment, because wounded aspects happen throughout life because of childhood experiences, because of conditioning and outside factors. So it's not their fault. And the fact that they recognize it is something to be applauded. It's just what are you going to do with that knowledge? How are you going to step up then, knowing what you know now, that
mm,
you're feeling lost and directionless? How are you going to solve that? So you're responsible and accountable for yourself. So I think the best place to start is acknowledging yourself that you're feeling a bit
mm,
directionless, doing some work on trying to find your compass, your inner compass. And there are things that you could do, such as taking up meditation, surrounding yourself with a really healthy brotherhood, finding a coach like myself so that we can work through what your core values are, what are your emotional needs,
mm,
being a mirror, having a mirror there to reflect back to you, what your true self is. Because when you're by yourself and you don't talk to anyone else, you only know what you know. So,
mm,
it's about working on yourself, doing reflective exercises, coming back home to yourself. And then when you know yourself better, then you can build upon that and build confidence in and trust in knowing who you are.
mm,
And then this will feed into asserting your boundaries because you'll feel more confident in yourself. In terms of the aggressive aspect of the masculine, I think it would be a case that sometimes they have to hit some sort of wall or some sort of challenge where they get taken down a peg or two, perhaps, or
mm,
or someone just tells them to their face, like, this isn't very nice. Like, I don't like want to follow your leadership because you don't inspire me to follow you. Sometimes it takes some like harsh truths to get there, and it would really take a lot of reflection for themselves to recognize that is their ego that is getting in the way. And if they really want to inspire true leadership and respect and trust in the people that they want to lead, it really comes down to working on yourself, working on your communication. And actually, a lot of the core of it is insecurity. So, what is it that's holding yourself back? What is it that where are you lacking in self worth? Where you feel like you have to push, you feel like you have to force to control and to um, you know, to be that sort of dominant leader, because a
mm.
natural leader
And
won't be like that.
yes, and there's something super interesting that you said about when you have a healthy masculine energy, what you end up generating for other people, whether that's your team, if the person is in a position of leadership, or your partner, or your children, or your friends, it's this sense of trust and safety. If you're in a healthy masculine energy, you're able to generate that. And maybe if you're in this way too aggressive masculine energy, maybe people will follow you because of fear
Mm-hmm.
and not because of trust, not because they really love your vision and they want to follow your vision. So that's very, very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I think nowadays, especially this debate that we're having today, I think it's super interesting because the concept of masculinity and the role of men today, it's evolving. Back in the days, women were at home, so things were divided in a very clear manner,
Mm-hmm.
right? Women were at home, taking care of the children, taking care of the house, and men were out there providing for their families. And now women have evolved so much, women are able to vote and to study, and women are, breaking all of the glass ceilings. And that's amazing
Hmm.
for women. And I really, really hope that that trajectory is going to continue, and
Yeah.
it will continue. But also, if we look at it from the men's perspective, it's very complicated, because before the role was very clear. You're supposed to go out there, work, and provide for your family. That makes you an amazing man. Then, you are nice to your wife, you're nice to your children. Check, done, you're a good man.
Mm.
But nowadays, because women have changed the definition of what being a woman is, men are also obliged to change their definition of what a man is. So I'm really interested in your take on this. So how do you see masculinity evolving nowadays? Maybe nowadays and also in the future. What
Mm.
do you foresee for masculinity?
Mm. I think it's important to actually emphasize that that was a societal construct. Those roles that were very much defined, that was a societal construct, that women stayed at home. It comes naturally. Yes, I'm not denying that, but also the rigor by which people stuck to those roles was societally upheld. So,
Mm,
if someone deviated, if a woman did, when women did start going back to work, there was uproar because of that. So that society resisting that evolution of roles. So inside people, both within men and women, they do have natural masculine and feminine energies that they have to tap back into. So for a really healthy masculine man, their natural disposition will be to lead, to inspire trust and safety in their kingdom. Their kingdom being either
mm,
their workplace, their family, their friendship groups, and to have that mutual respect. So, in terms of how is masculinity going to evolve, I think it's finding their new place in this new world, redefining what masculinity is for them. And that will be, how do you find leadership in what you have now? So it's not in the workplace anymore. It's not just in a breadwinner for the home, but where is it now? Where are you going to find
mm,
leadership now within yourself? Find your way back to your own masculinity. How are you going to define it for yourself? It comes down to confidence, self-assurance, assertiveness, finding your purpose, whether that's work, philanthropic work, building something in your community. Finding brotherhood support as well is really important. I think there are a lot of men who are just not, they're lost and they're not communicating with each other. Whereas sometimes if you
mm.
find support with other brothers, then that will really give you a big sense of like masculinity and what it looks like, what it can feel like, and how it doesn't come down to how much money you earn. Also investing in your own mental, physical, spiritual strength and growth, your own personal evolution. That's just having purpose, direction, intention, and that will grow that sense of masculinity, and whatever they choose to apply that to, whether it's work,
Mm.
community, family, they will find their masculinity in that. And I think,
Yes.
it's not just men's work, it's also women's work as well, to be able to let down their masculine shield, because if so women have been now conditioned to the point where we can't have everything, we can do it all, we don't need a man. But actually, so of course men feel a little bit lost, but it's up to us women as well to let down our guard, sometimes to let down our masculinity, to allow ourselves to open up, trust men, and give them the space to step up. If we're complaining that we're having to do everything, they're not doing anything, are we actually pausing ourselves and allowing them space to step up and, to take the lead? That occurs in relationships as well as in the workplace or in the family. So, how are you going to, how's the man going to prove that he's capable of something if you don't let him prove that he's capable of showing up, of earning your support and your trust?
Yes, and I think this is a very, very important point, because I think our generation of women was trained to behave in a very masculine manner.
Mm.
We are allowed to, to have a great education now, to work. So I think the story that we received was, okay, you need to go out there, you need to prove that you can do it all, exactly just as good or even better than a man, you need to be in that board, you need to be in politics, do this, do that.
Mm,
And sometimes, as a trauma response, some women have built this shield
mm,
around them, and they behave with this really masculine energy. I can do it all, I have it all, I don't need a man, I'm an independent woman, blah blah blah. and and that's very complicated because, there's also this polarity that we need to have between men and women. So if women are really stepping into this masculine energy, then it's very complicated in terms of polarity. So what is your take on this? Should women be on this more, I'm an independent
mm,
woman, I don't need this, or shall we let the men be the men and let women be the women without falling into, the traditional paths and the traditional things that were installed in us and that were really limiting women for so many centuries? So this is a debate that I really
mm.
see moving and happening today. So what's your take on this? What's the best way for the masculine energy and the feminine energy to relate so that they can both flourish?
Well, it's important to remember that we're not saying that one gender is more capable than another or one energy. I mean, it's regardless of gender. Everyone has feminine and masculine energies, regardless of gender. We're not saying one energy is better than the other, or that because you have one energy, more dominant energy, you're incapable of the other energy. So just about finding the
Mm.
balance. So we're not saying like women should stay at home, go back to their kitchen and like not work. You're absolutely capable of doing that, and it's great that you are. But there will be times when it just, it feels unnatural and just really hard work to just be in masculine energy all of the time. So
Mm.
recognizing where the strengths and weaknesses in a partnership, for example, where is one partner going to take the more masculine role and the other one's going to be soften into their feminine, with any aspect. For example, in like a really practical sense, it could be like sorting out the kids' dinner. If the dad actually really loves creative cooking, that's, let him be in his feminine and let him do that. And
Mm.
the woman can step back and do something else in her more masculine energy, such as planning the shopping list. That's quite a masculine thing to do, perhaps. So it's about finding those strengths and weaknesses, finding the masculine and feminine flow, the energies, and then making sure that you have a system that complements. And it'll keep evolving as well. So keeping the communication open between yourselves. And this is in the workplace as well. If you have two really dominant masculine energies, they will butt heads. So at some point, someone's got to sort of allow one of you to take the lead, and then the other one can also give inputs, but allow the control, like let go of that control and let someone else lead and relax into
Mm.
your feminine. Although it can be difficult, just relax into your feminine a little bit more, and so that you can move forward. Because if you're both like at loggerheads, there's not going to be any movement. So it's about give and take, recognizing strengths and weaknesses, and then communicating about the best way forward.
Yes, exactly. And I think if I understand correctly what you're saying, it's more about on a case to case
Yeah.
basis, depending also on the what a person prefers to do,
Mm-hmm.
what a person likes to do, what a person is able to do at a certain point that maybe the other one cannot do for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like there's a balance to find, and it sounds like it's not something static. It's always this way or the other way. It's more on a case to case basis, depending on the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And as you said, it might evolve over time as long as there's a balance that is found between a masculine and a feminine energy. It sounds like it can be a beautiful way for both of them to flourish and to be really happy and fulfilled together.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It's about
that's very
working
nice.
together, being
Mm,
transparent about your strengths and weaknesses and your preferences, and working together to find a balance that works for both parties.
amazing. And I'm really curious, what are the challenges that you see that men experience right now when you have men coming towards you for support? Which are their like typical pain points, if you had to name maybe two or three,
Mm.
to sort of get the temperature of what are men feeling today? What are their main issues?
So the main issues that they come to me with do generally fall into two or three categories. One, burnout, because they're so busy being the protector, the provider, and handling everything that is getting quite overwhelming, and they're stressed and they don't know they're stretched too thin across all aspects of
Mm.
their lives. And then the other is confidence with themselves, that imposter syndrome, not trusting themselves or their intuition, being a bit indecisive. So that kind of the that pole of the wounded masculine. And yeah, so those are two. And then
Very, very interesting.
yeah, yeah, and also one is directionless, so they don't know their purpose. So they're kind of they're in their midlives, 30s, 40s, and they've done a job all their lives, and then they kind of wake up suddenly and they're, why am I doing this? Um,
Mm.
do I actually enjoy what I'm doing? Do I want to continue what I'm doing? I feel like I should be happy because I've got the house, the kids, the wife, but I'm not happy. Why am I not happy? And then there's that. So those are the kind of
Yes.
three aspects that I kind of see a lot.
Yes, yes, it's very, very interesting. That's what I help women with, and that's basically one of my favorite topics because I think, as you said, finding your direction, finding your purpose. I think it's one of the deepest questions that a human being can ask themselves.
Mm,
Why am I here? What am I supposed to do here? How can I contribute? So I think for men, because of what we said of this, it's important for men and women, but especially for men because they need to have this sense of direction. Where am I heading? What's the purpose of my life? Why am I here?
mm,
And then lead from that space. And then, as you said, if they're lacking the confidence to go into that space, maybe they want to foster that confidence. And then if they have taken too many things on their plate, they need to work on how to balance a little bit of
mm,
that because I can totally understand that because you want to handle things and set the direction and set the structure and set all of these things. Maybe you find yourself, as you said, spreading yourself too thin, and then it's just a little bit too much
mm,
to handle. And they could even, because they're setting the direction and everything, they could even start delegating from a masculine energy. Okay, in my team, who's taking care of this? At home, who's taking care of
mm,
this?
mhm,
And from a masculine energy, but they could, start spreading that um, burden that they have today because it becomes a burden when it's too much,
mhm,
and they can spread it and organize at work or at home or even with friends
mm.
in any circumstance. But it's thank you for sharing this.
It's okay.
It's super interesting.
Yeah.
So
I think I was going to say that that's where, when a man feels like that, that's where it can be helpful to have a feminine partner or like a coach who can highlight that you're never tapping into your feminine flow. There are times when a man is also too much in his masculine, and he needs to have those instances where he feels flowy. So that's where a
mm,
partner can be really helpful when they invite him to be playful. They invite him to go out and have a
mm,
walk. If they're unable to do it themselves because they're so in their work mode, sometimes they need a reminder from either a romantic partner or a female coach or just a friend who recognizes that, and they can say, step into your feminine flow, just go and do some
mm,
yoga or go and have a walk in the park, get back into your body, connect with your feminine a bit more,
yes.
and then that will actually allow that be more freeing actually.
And also have a weekend where you have no plans.
Mm,
You just go with the flow.
yeah,
If you feel like eating, you eat. If you feel like staying in bed, you stay in bed. If you feel like
yeah,
taking a shower, you take a shower.
hmm,
Just no plans, white space. And that really helps when you need to compensate a lot of planning and
mm,
masculine energy and structure.
hmm,
So that's very, very interesting. And now I'm wondering from the ladies' point of view, for the single ladies who are listening to this episode, how can they spot a man on those one or two first dates? When you're like, okay, am I going to choose this man? Yes, no. How can she spot healthy masculine energy? What are the green flags for healthy masculine energy to spot and to look forward to?
mm, yeah. I think it's hard to say from like date one or two whether someone is definitely like a healthy, grounded masculine if you're going to have a future with them. I think on the first one or two dates, the most important thing is, are you having fun? Are they interesting enough that you want to see them again? That's your main focus in the first couple of days. In the first three
Mm,
months, obviously look out for the green flags of a healthy masculine and whether it could be turned into a relationship. And I think the number one sign is consistency. Consistency is like a love language. You know, do their words and their actions align? Do they call when they say they're going to call? Do they drop a text if they're going to be late and then they actually show up, apologetic? Or, or does it become a pattern? In which case, are you allowing that pattern? If you don't put up with that, you don't have to. Are they living their own life? Do they have purpose and a general direction? Do they have long-term friendships? Do they have their own interests? Do they have direction and intention with what they want from a relationship? Are they just feeling like, oh, we're just going to see how it goes? Or are they, I'm looking for a relationship? I think men don't generally decide until like year 2 at least whether the person they're dating is the one for them, but do they have the intention that they want to set down roots, that they want a long-term partner? Or are they just playing still? In which case, they're still very much in boy energy. They're still finding out about themselves. So how are they going to be able to be a good partner to you and lead you if they don't know themselves yet? Also, it's very important that they have an open communication style, that they have growth mindset, that they can talk about emotions, they don't clam up or they don't get defensive. So because those are all signs of a good partner. Will your partner be able to communicate with you and resolve conflict? Will your partner have a growth mindset so they'll be open to your views as well as their own? And yes, do they invite feelings of safety and calm within your nervous system? It's really important to listen to your body when you're on those first initial dates. If you're feeling like hyper excited and it's not proportional to the amount of time that you've spent with them, you don't know them, that might be a bit of a red flag actually. If you're feeling like really crazy sparks, and that might be a sign of drama that may ensue. Do they invite safety and calm?
Yeah. Yes. And I think, again, back to this point of healthy masculine energy will generate safety in your body. Because, as you said, consistency. If they say, okay, I would like to meet you on this week, and then on that week they write a message and they program the date, they really want to see you. And I think when a man is interested, they really show you.
Exactly.
You see it. They show you. So if they're like wishy-washy, let's see how it goes, I just want to go with the flow, that's not going to make a woman feel safe. And she's going to be like, second guessing and thinking, is this going somewhere or not? And a healthy masculine energy is just going to say, okay, this is where we're heading.
Yeah.
I would love to meet you on this date. And you just relax and say, okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
So
a man will be proactive. They will lead. They will take the lead. They will organize the dates. They will reach out to you and want to speak to you, because their intention is, I like this person. I want to spend more time with them. So so if you feel any feelings of anxiety or confusion, that's not a healthy masculine. If you're not feeling safe.
Exactly. And if you need to be like pushing the guy and writing to the guy and planning the dates and everything, it means that then the woman is now in her masculine energy and the man is in their feminine energy. And I think like guys were naturally hunters, they want to hunt and go outside. And if they like the woman, they're going to hunt, let's say, that woman. So if they're not hunting you, if they're not looking for you, it means either they're not interested or they don't have a healthy masculine energy. In any case, you should not be interested on that guy because there's nothing good that's going to come out of that.
Exactly. And one must remember that the pattern you set from the beginning is what they're going to follow, is, the path of least resistance. If you're going to initiate the first 2 or 3 days, then they're going to expect that. So they're not going to change because that's what the precedent that you set at the beginning. So, just be mindful of that.
Exactly. And for the ladies who are in a committed relationship, how can a woman support her man so that he can fully embody his healthy masculine energy?
I think it's all about support and being very vocal about your support. So really believing in him, telling him that you believe in him, not problem solving for him. If he's encountering a problem, just saying, like, I trust that you'll sort this out. I know that you've got it in you. You can deal with this. I don't know how, but I believe you can do it. That makes him feel like masculine and more powerful. And I'm like, yes, I've got this. I'm gonna figure this out. If you solve a problem for him, then he'll feel slightly emasculated, or it won't feel like natural and balanced there. So so ladies can support their man by believing in them, being his support, not solving problems for him. Also, being self-aware of their own wounding, and if their anxiety comes up, or if they feel the need to control, like, reining yourself back in and self-regulating. So being really aware of yourself, your triggers, when they come up. You can communicate that with him and say, oh, I noticed I'm feeling really anxious right now because you're going to go away to a conference for 3 days and I might only hear from you for 1 day. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make plans with my friends for brunch. I'm going to go to that yoga class I like. I'm going to work on that project I've been wanting to work on for ages. And I hope you have a really good time. So showing him that you trust him and acknowledging yourself as well, and communicating what's going on for you, but not making it his problem, not making him responsible for your feelings, and, resolving things for you. You can take accountability for that. And also just acknowledging all the great things that he does, showing your appreciation for him, and also just inviting him into your feminine energy. So by being playful, inviting him to play with you. If you see he's stressed from a day at work, like, just go and take his mind off things, by inviting some play, like, saying, let's go for a walk with the kids or the dog. I know you've got stuff to do, but just half an hour. I'd really love it if you came with me to walk the dog. So that helps a man. All of that kind of contributes to embodying his masculine and inviting him to step into that.
That's so beautiful, because the feminine principle is the principle of being in the present, right? The masculine energy is going to be more in the future. The feminine energy is in the present. And also the feminine energy is looking for pleasure. How can I have fun? How can I enjoy? How can we play? So if you can also support your man and bring him back, remind him of those like beautiful things that we have in life, because it's not everything's about the plan and the next goal and the next thing, but we can also enjoy the process and where we are today.
Exactly.
So it sounds like, cheering him up, believing in him, not solving his problems, because I think also the mistake that I see sometimes in women, because of healing that still needs to happen and everything, is that some women will become pretty much the mother of their partner, and that's just like the number one way to emasculate a man, is to turn him into a child and solve his problems. So what you're saying is, okay, we support our men, I believe in you, but I'm not going to solve the problem because you can handle it. And that's a very nice way, because I think sometimes women, they love so much and they have such a kind and big heart, and they really want to even help their men, and they're going to solve problems for them, but it's not a good thing in the end for him to do that.
Yes, it decreases that attraction between you, because then it becomes a mother-child dynamic, then that will decrease attraction.
Exactly. So taking all of these things into consideration, I think that raising a boy nowadays, it's such a delicate challenge, because we want them to be present with their emotions. They need to have discipline and structure and direction and purpose. So whoa, that's like a lot. So you're a mom of 2 boys. So how do you educate your boys so that they have a healthy masculine energy and they become the type of man that the world truly needs? How do you do it on a daily basis?
That's a really good question, and it's interesting because I am a single mum of 2 growing boys, and one's just entered teenage years, so there's very formative years, and without a male role model in the house as well. So sometimes I can be really in my masculine energy all the time, as well as feminine too. So they see that, so I have to be very conscious about the messages that I'm sending them. So, and as you said, there's so much information. There's overwhelming amounts of information in the world today regarding parenting, relationships. So we can be too conscious about making sure that we tell them the right things. So I think what it comes down to is trusting myself, that I know my boys really well and I can give them what they need and the guidance that they need. So I'm very open about emotions and feelings, and I always encourage them to talk with me about their emotions and their feelings. I also give them a lot of respect, so that invites mutual respect as well. So I think in previous generations, if a child was really frustrated, having a bit of a tantrum or kicking off, they would be sent to their room like in shame and told that that wasn't right. Whereas now I will, just stay grounded, stay present, try not to get triggered myself, and recognize that if I'm being triggered, it's because, it's like society conditioning to say, they shouldn't be doing that. You should control your child. But saying actually they're human, they're having a human experience, they're feeling these feelings, and they don't quite have the capacity and the skills yet to manage their feelings as well as an adult. Well, some adults. So so I'll give them that space, and I won't shame them for it, and I'll come back to them after, when they've calmed down, and say, you know, that was a really hurtful thing that you said. What made you say that? What was the feeling underneath that? How could you have said that better? I apologize because I did something wrong and that wasn't right. And, so take accountability for myself as well. So yeah, be really open about feelings, about communication. And also I'm very transparent about learning through life and how we're always learning and always evolving. No one's got a definitive answer for everything, and everyone's experiences are different. So I won't hide from them the fact that, like, if I'm undergoing a breakup from a partner, I'll say I'm really sad because blah blah blah. It didn't work out because, and what I've learned from it is, and so they learn that it's not the end of the world if something doesn't work out the way they want. So that communication, mutual respect, learning to trust themselves as well. I try to teach them a lot that to respect their own bodies, to respect their autonomy. I'm not, going to try and control them. I'm the caretakers of their souls, and I'm a guide for them. But I'm not here to tell them what to do. I'm here to tell them to override their body's feelings. For example, like if they're not feeling hungry, I won't say, but it's 12 o'clock, you must be hungry, have something to eat. I'll just be like, listen to your bodies then. If tell me when you do need to eat then. And they learn to trust themselves more rather than being told what they should be feeling.
Yeah, and to have this self-leadership that we discussed in the very beginning, the importance of having self-leadership, know yourself, and then act from that space.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Is there anything you would like to add about healthy masculine energy and how to develop it even more?
I think it's just a constant work, and always lead yourself with self-compassion. No shame in it, no judgment. And to remember that the generations before us, like your parents, they didn't have the information that we have now. And it's all about evolution. So it's not about blame for yourself or other people, but being self-aware about yourself, having compassion and no judgment for yourself, and just doing the work. Like every little thing that you do will contribute to, your like harnessing your masculine energy in a really healthy way. It's not going to be overnight, so don't beat yourself up if like sometimes you slip up, because default conditionings and patterns are really hard to break. So, but knowing that you have that intention and that you're going to do little steps every day, or recognizing where you could have done better, and learning from that. That's always a great way forward. Communicating with those around you as well, inspiring others to do the same work. Is great, and it would have a massive impact on the world if we're all doing our own work. Then it'd be amazing. It's an amazing world we're building.
Yes, exactly. And I totally agree. I think if we look at the world today, I think we've been like, as a society, right? It's too much on the masculine energy and maybe too much on a wounded masculine energy. We need to achieve and extract from nature and control things and grow and double-digit growth all of the time. But I think the work that we are invited to do is, okay, how can we, first of all, build a more healthy masculine energy as a society, also individually, and also how can we compensate that with a bit more feminine energy, in the way we work, in the way we live, in the way we treat nature. And I think as a society, I think in an individual, we need to find this balance between feminine and masculine energy, and also in which areas of your life you wish to display maybe a bit more this one or a bit more the other one. But also as a society, I think we're in a moment when we need to balance. We are too much on the masculine energy,
Mm.
and we need to balance that with a bit more feminine energy.
Mhm.
So thank you so much for all of this amazing wisdom on masculine energy. It's a true pleasure to learn from you. So where can
Sure.
the listeners find you online? Where is the best place to hang out with you?
I'm mainly on Instagram, so you can find me at Unfold and Rise, all one word, and that's my handle. And I'm also on LinkedIn as well, and I have a newsletter, like a mailing list. If you want to sign up to that, you can find that at my LinkedIn bio at Unfold and Rise.
Perfect. So we're going to have all of that in the show notes, so it's very easy to click and go directly there.
Sounds
So I
good.
have a couple of rapid fire questions to finish this
Okay.
episode.
Okay.
So when was the last time you felt bliss?
When was the last time I felt this? I can honestly say it was probably when I was dancing. So I dance. I love music. I love dancing. So I do salsa, bachata, kizomba. I also love, my old school R&B and garage. So whenever I'm dancing with friends or even on my own when I go to a dance festival, I'm in the moment when I'm dancing. That's when I feel really in this. Yeah.
So beautiful, so nice. I saw some of your costumes and the things that you had on Instagram, and it looked really, really, really fun. So it must be amazing. Amazing. Then second question is, can you think of one idea that fundamentally changed your life?
One idea fundamentally changed my life. It's a Glennon Doyle talk, and she talks about turning pain into purpose. So I always find that really good. I forget the actual phrase she uses now, but it was a pivotal moment in my healing journey where she talks about how you can use pain as a source of wisdom. So yeah, it's always just the best idea I've heard is that like there's a reason for everything, and pain is what you make it. Do you alchemize it into power, or do you relent to it and allow it to consume you? So that's been an absolute the theme of my life actually since going through a divorce from my kid's father. So and it's led me to being a coach today.
That's beautiful. And I truly, truly believe and agree with that we can alchemize pain into wisdom
Mm-hmm.
or pain into purpose. And it's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And could you choose one rule? If you could choose one rule that everybody in the world has to apply, what would it be?
One rule that everyone has to apply. I mean, everyone should do their own inner work. Yeah, everyone should go to therapy.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be my rule. Like, become self-aware, because if you're not self-aware, that just leaks onto everything else, and you project onto everyone else, and it colors your reactions and colors your behaviors in an unconscious way. So being self-aware, it's just the magic source that can change things for you and other people.
Yes, and that would be amazing. I mean, if you think about it, you go to an office and everybody has done the work and they know themselves. That would be so
I
different.
know, it would, wouldn't it?
If you're
It impacts
you're
everything.
driving, you're driving, everybody went to therapy.
Yeah,
They're all zen now. Like
exactly.
driving would be so different.
But it does, it impacts everything, like your parenting, your working, your relationships, if you're just
Everything.
self-aware.
You open Tinder, everybody has done their
I
work.
know.
That would be way easier.
Yeah, yeah, that would be great.
Yes. It's an amazing rule, actually. Okay, thank you so much, Sue, for this conversation. It's been really insightful, really fun. I really enjoyed having this conversation with you, and I know that the listeners in Blisstopia podcast will really enjoy this as well. So, thank you so much, Simon. Thank you so much for your time again.
Well, thank you, Mercedes. I've really enjoyed our conversation as well.
Amazing. So, I will see you on the next episode, and in the meantime, in Blisstopia we trust.